2016, the University of Missouri was in the news because there was a protest on campus and one of their faculty, Melissa Click, was involved and ended up pushing and threatening one of the student journalists. She got fired for that whole business.
I do remember that. That's kind of weird, right? Because I can barely remember what I had for dinner yesterday.
Yeah, well, interestingly, their applications plummeted the following year because of all of that. But having apparently not learned from this, University of Missouri's back in the news. This time, an odd thing going on involving two students. One student asks the other student out on a date.
I can already see where this is going.
Well,
I can already see.
The female student, who is the recipient of the ask, says something to the effect of, well, maybe not now, but maybe in the future. The guy comes back a few days later, asks again. She kind of says no. He writes her a letter saying he apologizes for being awkward and all of this nonsense. Anyway, the whole thing, which is quite innocent at this point, ends up in the Title IX office, where the university's vice chancellor for student affairs charges the man with unwelcome sexual advances by a person in a position of power or authority over another.
All right, let's back up a step or two here because I'm officially confused. I thought they were two students.
Yeah, they are two students, right? And that language, a reasonable person understands to refer to a dean and a faculty member or a faculty member and a student, something like that, not two students. So when this whole thing lands in court, the vice chancellor is asked about that. Well, what about this position of power business? And her response is, well, the male was significantly taller than the female.
Okay, wait a second. Okay, I know I just asked you to back up a second ago, but now you're really going to have to back up because now if a person is taller than another person, that's evidence of some form of power, authority, superiority. What am I not getting here?
Well, what you're not getting is that all of this is occurring in the crazy land that has become American universities, where words no longer have meaning.
Well, I guess the postmoderns finally got their way. We can't talk to each other anymore.
No, apparently not. The vice chancellor was pushed on this question and ended up saying something to the effect of, well, if it's unclear to a student whether that student is in a position of power, the student should go ask the Title IX office before asking out somebody on a date.
All right, so, boy, I say this a lot. Let me get this straight then. In order for a person to ask another person out on a date, you first have to receive clearance from the Title IX office.
Yeah, I guess the Title IX office looks at you, weighs you, measures you, whatever it does to determine whether you have power over the person you're about to be asking out.
Okay, and how tall does a person have to be relative to another person? I guess what's the difference in their heights that is problematic? I know we love saying the word problematic these days. What's the problematic difference in height that would trigger the inclusion of the Title IX office into a potential dating relationship?
Yeah, I get the sense that nobody there has clearly thought this through.
Well, I think you could have stopped there by saying nobody there has thought.
Right.
This is going to make the foolishness of the week a little more difficult than usual, isn't it, Ant? Because usually we reserve the dumbest thing of the week for that little segment, but I don't know if I can beat this. I mean, we're going to try, but this is world-class foolishness.
So one question here is, what happens to applications at University of Missouri? They tanked with that whole Melissa Click business. Is it possible that henceforth only short people will apply to the University of Missouri? I don't know.
Well, yeah, but see, here's a problem, right? Because even too short people will have a disparity between their heights, which would necessarily mean one is exerting power over the other.
We're taking our first steps toward true equality by ensuring that everyone at the University of Missouri is exactly the same.